Hey, 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 hey. Trying to get my lights in here working. One day I don't, what is it? One day I got too much light. Another day I don't have enough light. And then always I'm kind of in the dark over here, right? I'm in the dark. So, hey, welcome back to another show. Yes, we are on the Real Estate Investing Talk Show with Zack Childress. And I am coming to you from the home office. I'll probably need to put some more lighting in here for you guys. It doesn't help that I'm wearing a black shirt. I'm like a floating head right now, ain't I? So, hey, come on board, come on board. We have some stuff to talk about. We're on week 11. Yes, week 11. So I'm excited about week 11. If you're curious what week 11 is all about, week 11 is what we are talking about, running the numbers. Running the numbers today. Running the numbers. Hey, Susan. Good to have you on here. Hey, hey, hey. Glad you're here. Glad you're here. It's always good. It's always good to keep coming back. So for those of you that are just joining me and don't know exactly what's going on, we are in a 24-week challenge right now. And that 24-week challenge is helping you build your business. So each week we're talking about something different, and a component of it is designed to help you grow your business. And so we're on week 11. So if you haven't been keeping up with us over the last 11 weeks, you should really go back and watch the videos inside the Facebook group, fan page, business page. They're all in there. They'll catch you up to date. And today's week 11. We're covering running the numbers. So Francisca, hey, 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 how are you? David said, what's up, Zach? What's up, David? Meredith says, hey, it's a bit dark in there. Yes, it is a bit dark. And I actually have lights on. But there's just no light outside. So it's okay. You know, sometimes we need to sit in the dark and we need to think about where we're going and what we're doing. So, Angel, hey, Zach, how are you, Angel? Hey, listen, if you're just joining us, my name is Zack Childress. You are with us through REI Success Academy, or all kinds of different things that we do out there in the real world. And this is our Tuesday show, which is all about real estate investing. And I am at home working from the house. So no studio behind me today. And we're covering week 11. So come on board, say hi. Let me know how you're doing. Let me know where you're coming in from. Good, and you. I'm doing great, Francisca. I'm doing great. So Michelle says, good morning, Zach. Good morning, good morning, good morning. If it wasn't good morning as it was yesterday morning, it'll be a great morning tomorrow morning, right? So, all right, guys. Well, I hope you have been participating, and I hope that you are with us in mind, body, spirit, and in soul, right? That's what it's all about. Debbie says, just got back from training. Hey, Zach. Hey, Debbie. Manny says, hey, Zach, we're here. Thanks for the shirt. You're welcome. And the book. The field trip you did was great. Love it. Damon says, hey, Zach, I'm listening from Birmingham. Oh, Diamond Star. I remember you from the Christmas stuff that we did. You were a winner at the Christmas big giveaway. That's awesome. That's awesome. So anyways, my name's Zack Childress. A lot of you know me. A lot of you have been watching. A lot of you have been with us for a long time. For those of you that don't know me, I am your real estate coach. I am a real estate investor, and I'm out there doing it every day. And you're part of our Facebook shows. We do it Tuesday at 1:30 Eastern Time Zone. Every Tuesday, it's our Real Estate Investing Talk Show. We also do our Wednesday show, and our Wednesday show is all about digging deeper, and it could be in all kinds of things. We just came out of a book series. I don't see it on my desk here. Yep, here it is. We just came out of a book series called The 7 Habits But our next Dig Deeper series is going to be all about credit and your credit and how you're going to get better at your credit. And so those Wednesday shows are going to be great. And I'm excited to be bringing on someone that I know very well and is a master at what she does. And so she'll be on those shows. I don't know if we'll have 2 or maybe even 3 of them. But she'll be there helping you guys understand what kind of credit you need, what's the difference in personal credit and business credit, how do you get it, what are the things you need to be thinking about, what are the 6 things you get scored on, and how to control those so that you're able to build where you want to be. I share that with you because you need credit, and you need relationships with banks, you need lines, you need all kinds of money, right? Do you have to have it to get started? No. But do you need it to grow? Yes. Yes, 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 and yes, and yes, and yes. So those are the aspects. So that's our next Dig Deeper show. I will be in Orlando tomorrow. So for that Dig Deeper show, it's probably going to be short and sweet. I'm going to just share with you some of the things I've been learning. I'm going down there for a training. Yes, I still go get trained from somebody I've known and respected for years, and it's all around marketing. So I'm going to spend some time down there with him and get some ideas on not only how I can grow my business better, but how I can help you guys grow your business better through what I learn as well. So I'm going to probably shoot live down there just to kind of give you guys an update on what's going on. So remember, we also rolled out our new show, which is every other Thursday. We're doing In the Field with Zack. So I've got a really great show coming up next Thursday. I'm going to take you out in the field with me, and we're going to look at a pretty extensive rehab. And I want you to see kind of the things that I look at, how we evaluate it, what kind of offer we're going to make on it. I'm going to let you guys participate in that as well, and tell me what you think you would do. Would you run from it? Would you run into it? So anyways, lots going on here at the REI Success Academy family to support you guys to get your business off the ground and running much faster than if you were just doing it alone. So lots of cool stuff, lots and lots of good stuff. So if you're just joining us, come on board. We're fixing to get started in the next couple of minutes. I see more people are jumping on. There again, if you don't know me, I am Zack Childress. I am your real estate coach. Why? Because I know what I'm doing. I help people all over this world get into real estate. And I've been doing it for 16 years, guys. So hang in there. You got what it takes. You just need some direction. Jermaine says, what's up, Zack? What's up, Jermaine? What's up, my friend? Diamond says, I've been on your page watching your videos all morning. I love it. Diamond says, yes, thanks so much. I love it. Oh, you're talking about the Christmas stuff. That's awesome. David Patterson says, hey, Zack Childress. You guys are doing awesome. You guys are doing awesome. All right. Well, listen, if you've been with us, you know we've been going through this 24-week challenge, and the challenge is really designed to help you guys take a small component of the business and unfold that each week as we move forward. We're almost halfway through this 24-week challenge. I think it's wonderful. So I think that you guys have been sticking it out. And that's what's important. So, hey, just type in the chat box there for me real quick. If you can hear me, just tell me, hey, I can hear you, Zack. Let me know that you're with me. So let me know that you're out there. Let me know you're listening. Let me know you can hear me. That'd be great. Make sure the audio checkity check. Ruben says, hey, Zack. Hey, Ruben. Meredith says, did you do a deal on the Madison house last week? I did not do a deal on that house for a few reasons. One is the positioning on that house is a rental property. And that rental property is a long-term play on that, but it won't give me the type of return that I'm looking for, as in me investing in 4plexes, 8plexes, 10s, 20s, and so forth. So that's something that it just didn't fit for me. But there again, you guys got to understand something. What I look for may not be what you're able to find, okay? I have so many streams of deal flow coming into me that I'm very lucky to be able to pick and choose. We have students sending deals in, we have wholesalers sending deals in, agents sending deals in, we have our own marketing going on, we have outbound dialing going on. I mean, there's so much that's going on right now in our world. So you know, I look for the cream of the crop. If you're just getting started and you're looking for deals, you know, don't try to say, well, I want to get the same deals that Zack's getting, you know, looking for that 30+% cash on cash return. That may not happen for you, you know, as frequently as you would like it to happen. And so we're going to talk about running the numbers today and what all that has. So, and what you should be looking for. I mean, you know, the one question I get asked all the time is people say, Zack, what should I expect on a cash on cash return that, you know, there aren't great deals out there? The challenge with that is you have to look at it from a personal side. Like, what are you getting on your stuff right now? That's what you need to think about. You know, what are you getting on the houses you have right now? What are you getting on the money that you have right now? What are those aspects of it? So all right. I had something sticking on me there. Sorry. All right, I'm back. So think about that. Okay. All right, what are you making on your money now? And is the deals you're looking at better? So let's see here. So everybody says they can hear me. I can hear you. I can hear you. I can hear you. I can hear you. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Check 1, 2. Having a problem with video. Joseph and 2 other people joined. Sup, AC? After seeing that garage conversion, I want to do is great income. Yeah. Yep, absolutely. Garage conversions are okay, guys. I mean, don't run from garage conversions. I mean, you know, even if you're in a neighborhood where all of them have garage, it doesn't mean that you have to run from it. The challenge is, do you leave it or do you take it back? That's really the challenge. And so the way you understand that is you have to look at it from the approach that if I convert it back, how much square footage do I lose? Which then, let's say it's a 1,600 square foot property and you're going to lose 300 square feet. You have to run that deal, run those numbers based on now it being at 1,300 square feet instead of the 16 that it is with it. And if you can still make the deal work at 1,300 square feet, then yes, by all regards, you know, convert it back. But if that deal is just not going to work, at converting it back because of the square footage you're losing, then you leave it. You just have to remember that you're not going to be the hottest commodity on the market with a converted garage. And so therefore, you got to make sure you offset your resale price based on not having a garage. So if you're looking at comps in the area and they're all at, let's say, $100 a square foot, and those comps all have garages, you're not going to get $100 a square foot for your property unless you have something extraordinary different, meaning a much larger lot, a cul-de-sac lot, a corner lot, or your upgrades in your property are just substantially greater than what the comps were that you pulled to get to the $100 a square foot. Those are all the things that we have to consider, especially when we're looking at how we run our numbers, which is the topic for today. The topic for today is running your numbers. So that's the good part. Looks and sounds. What's up, AC? Angel says. So I share that with you because, you know, there's really two folds to every deal, right? It goes two folds. I don't care if you're a tier 1, tier 2, or a tier 3 or tier 4. It's really two folds when it comes to running your numbers. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Fold 1 and fold 2. So some people say, well, yeah, but I'm a wholesaler. How can there only be? No, it's really only two ways. Either you're going to hold that property for cash flow, whether it be a tier 1 or tier 4, creative financing or buy and hold, or you're going to flip that property as a fix-up and retail sale. Now, where does the wholesaling come in, right? Well, the wholesaler, if you're just wholesaling, you have to run the numbers based on both of those angles. So if I'm looking to wholesale rental properties, then I'm going to run it as a buy and hold cash on cash return so that I can determine what I'm dealing with that I'm going to wholesale off to the next landlord. Or if I'm wholesaling and it's a fix and flip, I'm going to run those numbers as a fix and flip model, and I'm absolutely then going to take on my wholesale fee so that I can then wholesale it off. So it's really, there's only two ways we run numbers. Number one is if I'm going to fix and flip, and number two is if I'm going to use it as a cash flow rental type property. Okay, so that's what we're going to talk about today. Let's see here. Tony says, hello from West Texas. Love it. Welcome to the party, West Texas. Who else is here? Hey, guys, type in your state. I want you to type in what state you're in right now. I'd love to see where everybody's at because, you know, that could, depending on where everybody's from, it will also help me understand the angles to take you when we're looking at it from a running numbers on a fix and flip. Because obviously there's a square foot remodel cost that will vary depending on where you live. So that's important to know. So just type in where you're from. Tell me the state. Give me your state, holla. Give me your state. I got some Callies in the house. Texas, Missouri, Illinois, New York, Florida, California, Alabama, New York, California. Oh my goodness, you guys are coming in from all over. Georgia, Alabama. So I got some New York, I got some Northeast, I got Kentucky, I got Philly in the house. Ignacio's on. That's awesome. So I got Northeast, I got Florida, I got Midwest, and Ignacio, I'm sorry. Midwest, and we got some Californians on here. Okay. For Florida Keys, man, he's in the Florida Keys. Man, I love the Florida Keys. I have so much fun down there. So that's good stuff right there. What else? Pennsylvania's in the house. Colorado is in the house. Man, you guys are all over the place. I love it. So let's talk about running your numbers on a fix and flip. And this will help me kind of get this out of the way. I got you guys really coming in from three different areas. We got the West Coast, the Northeast, which really covers kind of the same pricing down to Florida, and then we have the Midwest and the South. So there's really three sections of numbers that we need to look at. So when you're doing fix and flips, one of the things I need you to understand very clearly is that I care less what the person wants for the property, okay? So when I'm looking at a deal, I have to understand ARV, right? I don't know. I don't have a whiteboard with me today. I wish I could just like draw on this screen and it would like do its thing, right? But we have to determine, let's see if you can read that. ARV, right? After repaired value. That's how it all starts. So how do I determine after repaired value? I need 3 sold comps in the area that are similar. Likes and beds, likes and baths, similar in square footage. That's what I have to get to the ARV, after repaired value. And that after repaired value is what's going to tell me what I expect that property to sell for. Now, there's a lot more to that after repaired value. Like, it needs to be in the same neighborhood. Obviously, it needs to be like in kind. But there's 2 forms of values that you're going to find out there. And I'm about to get real technical with you, okay? So if you guys are okay with technical and me to break down ARV to the T, just make sure you type in, break it down, Zach. Because I don't want to be over your heads here, but I also want to make sure that you know exactly how to get to the ARV. What are the things you got to look out for? What are the 2 types of values? What are the 2 types of comps you're going to find out there? You know, that's, you know, really when you're talking about ARV, you've got 2 forms of value, you've got 2 forms of comps, and you've got, you know, like and kind. That's what you have to look for. You got to really understand that the ARV isn't just Oh, well, John sold his house for $200,000, so I'll sell mine for $200,000. No, that's not at all how it works, guys. It does not work that way. You can't even roll into a neighborhood and say, oh, these 3 houses sold for, $100,000 each, so I should sell mine for $100,000. No. That's not how it works, okay? This is why so many people get stuck with deals that they can't sell. Well, that and also clustering, which that's a whole nother class. So I'm going to help you understand. Do I got some break it downs coming in? Break it down, break it down. Bow, chicka, bow, bow. I'm in a good mood today, so let me get some coffee. You probably need to get some coffee, Angel. So I actually had a cup of coffee today, if you guys can't tell. I'm a little energetic right now. So, all right, so let's look at this. So there's 2 forms of value that you have to understand when determining ARV. One is called asset value, and one is called affordability value, okay? So what does that mean? Asset value is where we take 3 or 4 sold comps in a neighborhood, and I'm looking out my window here. That's why I'm pointing over here, okay? You take 3 or 4 sold comps in a neighborhood, whatever their prices is, you add them up and you divide it by the number in which you found, okay? Number 1, that gives you the average resale price in that area. Number 2 is you look at all of those sold comps and the square footage they are. You add up all their square footage, you divide by the number of properties you're looking at. That gives you the average square foot and the average sales price. You divide those to determine what is the average resale per square foot. Okay? You got me? So if I've got, keep math easy, if I've got 3 houses that all sold for $100,000 and their square footage was all 1,500, okay? So they're all equal. We're just using easy math. So if I take 3 comps at 300,000 divided by the 3 houses, that tells me that the average sales price is 100,000, right? So I've got 100,000 average sales price. Then if all the properties in that area have 1,500 square feet, the ones I'm looking at, then that's, 15 plus 15 is 3,000 plus 15 is 4,500 divided by 3 gives me 1,500 square feet. So what I have to determine is I have to say, okay, well, what's the average resale price per square foot? Okay, so what does that mean to you? That means that I need to know that number because I need to multiply it by the square footage of my property, okay? And so if I take 100,000, which is the average resale price, and I divide that by the average square foot in the area, which in this case is 1,500, that gives me $66 a square foot. So now I know how to determine my asset value. You with me? So if I know $66 is the average and my asset I'm looking at has 1,700 square feet, then I take 66 times 1,700 gives me $112,000, which is called asset value, which means that asset's value is $112,000. But don't be fooled, because that's just one of the values we're looking for. Then we have to look at the affordability index in the neighborhood. So I'm going to look at that neighborhood and what has sold, and I'm going to look and say, okay, on the low end, what has sold, okay, I can find stuff all the way down to 80,000. And on the high end is 125,000. So if my asset value that I've determined is the square foot resale price times my square foot is in between those numbers, then I'm within the affordability range of that neighborhood. That is crucial. It's crucial because you'll see people take asset value, and let's say on their property, in this example, it makes their property worth $160,000. Well, look, that asset may be worth that. But the buyers determine value. You follow me? What a buyer is willing to pay determines value. So when I go look at the value index in that neighborhood, and the highest price that someone's paid for a house is $125,000, then I know that my house will either sit on the market for a long time or just won't sell. And I'll have to start bringing down the pricing. You follow me? So you got to get clear on that. So that's why you have to make sure that your assets value fits inside the affordability value. That's ARV. Now the other thing that because look, just this weekend we were doing a 2-day immersion class. And we had 20 investors in town, and we were on the phones with them, making them call, just digging deep, right? Finding deals. And You know, one of the things I kept running into as I was helping people was in the comping aspect of this, in the ARV aspect of this. You know, they would go find a bunch of comps and they would just smush them all together and try to find their value. Well, that's why you got to be careful. When you're looking at comps, let's say I'm looking at comps. I got 8 comps I'm looking at. And a comp is a comparable property is what it is. And out of those 8 comps, I'm looking at it, and I've got comps in there from $75,000 to $125,000 a square, or just say $75 a square foot to $125 a square foot. Well, that's where, when I was talking about there's 2 comps you have to look at, I'm going to go into those comps. I'm going to find them online. I'm going to look at pictures, and I'm going to see which ones are an as-is comp and which one of them is an ARV comp. 2 different comps, right? An as-is comp is something that's sold that when I look at it, you can tell it hasn't been updated, it hasn't been remodeled, it looks just like the property I'm looking at. That's an as-is comp. So if they're as-is, they're selling for 75 to 95, well then that would be reasonable, right? But if I'm looking at the ARV aspect and I'm looking at the ones that sold up to 125 a square foot, and I can see they've been remodeled and they've been updated, well then those are the comps that I have to keep. The rest I have to get rid of, okay? Just so we're on the same page. So that's where you start with ARV, okay? Whew, that was a lot just to explain ARV, what? I mean, but let's just be honest here, right? I mean, if you're going to do it, you might as well do it right, So that's just to get to the ARV. Then once we know the ARV, we can then start subtracting backwards. So one of the things that we have to take off the ARV right out the gate is what? Because you have to think of it as if you're going to buy it, fix it, and resell it, right? I need you, even if you're a wholesaler, I need you thinking that way, okay? I need you thinking, what's going to be the best approach here? Well, the best approach would be a rehab. So I'm going to look at it from a fix and flip point of view. So if I'm going to fix it up and sell it, then I'm going to incur what? Closing fees and real estate commissions. You with me? There's no way around it. Well, there is a way around it if you want to list it yourself, but, I'm a believer that the only reason you should start to become your own brokerage, meaning that you're going to find them and list them and sell them yourself, is if you're at the point that you're doing so many deals a year that savings is substantial, right? If you're just getting started and you're selling 1, 2, 3, 4 a year, I'm not going to worry about doing that too, because I need to be worried about building my business, and I need to find a great agent that can get those properties sold for me and get it off of my plate, all right? So an agent's going to require what? 6%. Closing fees on the sale is going to be somewhere around 2%. So we really have what? 8%. So when we look at what's the first number we subtract off of the ARV, it's our resale. So it's 8% times the ARV gives us what we have to deduct off of the ARV. Very first number we deduct. The second number we deduct is the fix-up cost, right? Now, inside that fix-up cost, we also add in like anything that we're going to have to pay, like utilities, water, cable, if you're putting cable in there, like lights and sewage and all that stuff, right? Also, you might say, well, what about, insurance, or what about interest payments? Well, that's going to be in a whole different number. But you might have to pay taxes. But here's the reality. Those taxes aren't paid until you sell it, and they're prorated. But you could add that into your fix-up cost too, so it's all encompassed into one number. So it depends on which side of the world you're on. But if you aren't very good at going out and determining what something's going to cost to fix it up, you need to be using numbers that are relevant to your market based on the remodel type. So example, if you're not ripping walls out and adding plumbing and doing electrical and all this crazy stuff, you're just going in, doing some kitchen work, some granite, some faucets, fixtures, lighting, flooring, painting. If you're in the Midwest and in the South, you could do that between $12 and $15 a square foot. You really could. And that's $12 to $15 a square foot times the square footage of your property, okay? Yes, ma'am. so, so you need to look at that. Now, if you're in the West Coast or in the Northeast, you got to add that up on that. So and here's the thing. I don't rehab a lot in the North. I don't rehab at all in the Northeast, honestly. And I haven't rehabbed in the California market in a while. Most of my stuff's in the Midwest and in the South. But I'll tell you this. You could be looking between $20 and maybe $25 a square foot in the Northeast and in California as a rough number. You'll know more as you go look at it, okay? But just to get a rough number to get started with, in my market, we use $12, okay? So I'll take the square footage of the property. Let's say it's 1,500 square feet. I'll take 1,500 square feet, delete this out, 1,500 times 12 tells me I should be able to remodel that house for $18,000. So when I take my ARV and I minus my resale, then I minus my fix-up cost, right? And that's why I gave you those quick numbers, okay? Angel says ARV minus resale fees minus rehab costs minus profit equals subtotal. That is absolutely right, Angel. That's what gets us to the subtotal, okay? So that's how you determine rehab. Now, what do I need to determine? Profit. So if I'm a rehabber, I'm going to know what my profit I want on a deal. Typically, I'm going to want 20 to 25,000, unless it's a really small deal and I know I can get in and out of it super fast. I'll be okay with 15. I get really leery when you get down to like that $10,000 number. So it's safe to say if you can make 15 to 20, you're doing good. You guys out in California and in the Northeast, man, you guys have it made. We have to do so many more here to get to where you guys are because, you know, your average, like our average profits down here are around that $20,000. Well, actually, it's like $22,000 or somewhere around there. But for you guys in the Northeast and California, your average profits are like $40-something thousand. So that's huge when you consider the different locations in market. You don't have to do as many as we do here to get to the same number. So your profits need to be relevant to that. Now, if you're wholesaling, you need to think about your investor. What kind of profits do they want on a deal? So when I'm building my buyer's list, I'm always asking that question to kind of see if all the investors are around the same mark. Like, you know, hey, if I bring you a fix and flip, what kind of profits do you want to make? What's the range in which you're looking to make? So, and it helps me understand when I'm running the numbers as a wholesaler. So now that you've done your ARV, you've minused your resale fees of 8%, you've minused your fix-up costs based on the formula I gave you, and you minus the profits, you get to what's called a subtotal. The subtotal is the ARV minus all of those, okay? That subtotal is the number that we're going to use to calculate our purchase fees off of. Because why? Because we don't know what we're going to pay for it yet, right? We're just running numbers. We haven't even made the offer yet, and it hasn't been accepted. So wherever that subtotal comes to is always higher than what you're going to pay for it. So what does that mean? Well, that means you have a hedge factor. That means you've built in some extra money in there that when you make an offer, if they say no, they want to go up on it, then you can go back and recalculate your purchase fees off of the counter they make you to see how much actually you can go up. Because there's more money in there that's kind of a hedge factor for yourself. And so what do I mean by that? Well, let's look at the example. So we take our subtotal. Just to keep math easy, we're going to say that the subtotal came down to $100,000. Inside that $100,000, we would now calculate a number against that. So what is that number? Well, I always assume that if I'm going to wholesale this deal to an investor, that they're probably going to use hard money or asset-based lending as a cash investor. So in that case, most asset-based and hard money lenders are charging 2 points up front and 12% annualized interest. So that interest breaks down to 1% per month. So in most markets, houses can be fixed and put on the market and sold in 6 months. Now, if you're in a market that's hot and crazy hot, that might only take you 3 months. So what's the number that we use in the subtotal? We use 2 points plus however many months we think it's going to take. So let's just say you think in your market you can get this done in 3 months. Well, that's 3% for 3 months plus 2 points. So that's 5% interest. You with me? So we take 5% times the subtotal, which is going to be $5,000, which is our purchase fees. And that's going to include interest and the fees that we have to acquire. If you're not sure about 3 months, then use 6 months. So 6 months would take us to 8%. Okay, so we would take 100,000 times 8% gives us $8,000. So our subtotal is 100,000 minus our purchase fee expenses of, let's use the 6 month scenario, of $8,000, which gives me an MOP, max offer price, of $92,000. You with me? So I started with my ARV, I minused my resale once it's fixed up, commissions and closing, I minus my fix-up costs, I minus my profits, I get a subtotal, I minus my purchase fees, depending on whether it's 3 or 6 months on my market, it gives me a max offer price of $92,000. Does that mean that's the offer I send out? Do I send that offer out? No, I absolutely do not send that offer out. I start less than that so that if there's negotiation, I can work my way up. Also, I need to subtract off that 92 if I'm going to wholesale it. So let's say my whole deal with this is to wholesale it. Let's say I want a, I don't know, $7,000 assignment fee. Well, then I'm going to take the 92 max offer price minus the 7,000, puts me at 85,000, which means I need to now go negotiate that deal down to $85,000 or less, so that my investor can get a deal that he can make or she can make $20,000 on, including all the fees, an $18,000 remodel budget, and use asset or hard money, which then means that I also make $7,000. Okay, so it's added in the subtraction of all the fees. Now, let's say I go to my buyer, and my buyer says, yeah, I like that deal. I say, great. Well, look, I ran it. I added $18,000 in fix-up, $20,000 in profits, and I also added in if you were going to use hard money, and it was going to take you 6 months. And my buyer says to me, well, I'm not using hard money. I'm going to use my own money. Well, then there you go. Your profit went from $20,000 to probably $26,000 or $27,000. So that's an advantage for them once you determine what kind of funding they're using. So now their profitability goes up. Or if they say that it's going to take them $20,000 to remodel it, not 18, and they're using their own money, well, then that purchase fees, not all of it because they still have closing fees, but a good portion of it, about 75, if not 80% of it, can now get moved back into their fix-up budget or their profit budget. So running the numbers on fix and flips. I hope you guys got that. If you understand that, just type in got it, got it, got it, got it, got it, got it, got it. Type in got it, got it, got it. Got it, got it, got it. That's what I want to hear from you. Yes, Meredith, you're welcome. You're welcome. Keisha says, taking notes. Good job, Keisha. Love it. Got it. All right. I'm going to watch it again. That's great. You should watch it again, honestly. Got it, got it, got it, got it, got it, got it. Awesome. All right, got it. Thanks. Awesome, 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 awesome. Good job. Okay, so that's on what? Tier 1 or Tier 3, okay? That's on Tier 1 or Tier 3. We will always run our numbers that way, okay? Now, when you look on the other side, oh, I'm looking at rental properties now. Well, I don't run numbers on rental properties the same way as I run numbers on fix and flips. It absolutely makes no sense. My hand cramped up, but we'll watch this again. I love it, Angel. You guys are really responsive today. Is it my new setup? You know, it's all peaceful and zen. It's not so bright in here. You know, sometimes I have to get away from all the shiny lights from the office. So, we'll watch again. Came in a little late, Brenda said. Good job. Yeah, Brenda, you really should watch this. Debbie says, writing as fast as I can. Good job of recording it. Actually, Facebook records it no matter if we wanted them to or not. So, It's your bubbly personality. Keisha says, got it. I love it. You guys are very responsive today. Everybody's in a good mood. I love it. Love it. And we've managed to keep the trolls out today, haven't we? That's always an interesting process when they jump on. So, okay, so let's talk about the second way we go. Cash on cash return, okay? Cash on cash return is the way that as a wholesaler or a buy and hold, you should only be thinking about. There's no other way to think about it. You shouldn't even be looking at it. People go, what about ROI? Well, what about it? That's great. ROI includes a bunch of other stuff, but it does not tell me my true return on my dollar. The true return on my dollar is based on cash return. How much money am I putting out and how much is it making me back? Bottom line. That's all I need to know. That's it. That's it. I don't need to worry about anything else. You with me? So how do I get to that number? Well, I've got to know what my gross rents are, okay? I've got to know what gross rents are. I'm going to try to write it down so you guys can follow me. I got to know my gross rents. So what are my monthly gross rents times 12 equals my yearly gross rents, okay? I think you guys can see that. Gross rents times 12 equals yearly gross rents, okay? So I have to start there because then there's three forms of expenses, okay? There's what we call primary expenses, secondary expenses, and third expenses, okay? These are all, and I know I'm doing this on notepad here, but hopefully you can pay attention to this, okay? So that's primary, secondary, and third tier expenses. So what are those? When we look at gross rents, a lot of people make the mistake of not doing this. Gross rents is just what it's bringing in yearly right now. What is this property making right now a year? I take that number and I have to subtract primary expenses. What are primary expenses? Anything if you don't pay, they'll take the property away. Okay, for instance, the debt service on it, the taxes, the insurance, right? A lot of banks, if you don't keep insurance, they'll call the note dude and take the property, okay? Those are the three primary expenses. And so you've got to really look at that. What is that associated to this deal? So one of the questions, anytime you're on the phone talking to somebody and they're trying to sell a rental house, is you've got to ask them, what are the taxes and what did you pay in insurance? What did you pay in taxes last year and what did you pay in insurance last year? It'll give us a rough number of where we're going, okay? The second number that we have to determine is debt service, which is what we're going to pay monthly for the property, then yearly, as in a mortgage against it. But if you're able to go to the bank and get loans from the bank, then you're going to have a debt service. If you're paying cash for it, you're not going to have a debt service. I can tell you that if you leverage the property, you will absolutely get a higher yield of return because you have less money in the deal, and that's the key when you're growing your real estate business, okay? So when you look at the debt service, you have to take that in consideration. If I'm going to get debt on this, this is what it's going to be. I will tell you this, there's not very many banks out there. If you're buying properties under $50,000, it's real hard to get a bank to give you what's called a purchase loan on a $50,000 house or less. Now, does not mean that you can't pay cash for it and then go refinance it with the bank later. That's two forms of cash on cash return. You have what's called entry level cash on cash, which the property, paying cash for it may only give you 10 or 11%. But within 1 year, you can stabilize it and refinance it out, which means now you have less money in the deal, or in some cases, you have no money in the deal, which means you can move into year 2 with a 30, 40, 50% cash on cash return, or it could be infinite if you're able to refinance and pull the money out. Now, for my wholesalers listening to this, why is this important to you when you're like, well, I can't even buy a property? This is how you have to think when you're looking at deals for your investors. You have to think like that investor. You have to think like that landlord. You have to think like that rehabber. You can't just look at it from a wholesale. You've got to be able to look at it as if you were going to buy it and rent it, or you were going to buy it and fix it, and what would you want, then add your fee to it. Okay. All right. Taxes and insurance and primary, and the debt service. And I'll show you how to get to the debt service in a minute. So then secondary expenses. So secondary expenses that we have to subtract out is like property management company, which you shouldn't be managing your own properties anyways, but you should have property management in place. Once you have property management in place, let me see if I can brighten it up a little. Woo, man, that's bright right there. Wow. You have property management fees. On the other side of it is, if it's a single family, you typically don't have any other fees, as in like landscaping or yard work or trash or cable or utilities. You typically don't run into that with single families. But if you're moving into like duplexes, tris, quads, and higher, you're going to have other secondary expenses. You're going to have yard maintenance. You're going to have a dumpster. You might even pay some of the utilities. You might even pay some of the cables, or you may not, but the landlord who has it, who's selling it, may be already paying those. And so now that gets passed on over until those leases come due that you can change things. The other side of it is when you're looking at multi-units, you got to look at it from a point of view is it a single meter or is it multi-meter? Because if it's a single meter, then yeah, you're paying the utilities. You might be able to charge them a little bit more, but you're paying the utilities on that deal. So secondary expenses is always property management. Property management is a 10% times gross rent, okay? So that fee is always going to be 10% times gross rent, okay? I don't know if you can see that, but that says 10% times gross rents, okay? It's the management fee, and then you got to add any other secondary fees you have in there. Okay, so now we're adding it all up. Primary, we have taxes, we have insurance, we have secondary, property management fees, and then third is really your risk factor. It's your hedge, it's your risk, it's your safety belt, right? It's the safety harness that you wear so you don't fall off the roof. And so on that, we call this a reserve account. So in third expenses, it's classified as a reserve account. And that's typically, on the minimum, it's 15%. Depending on the risk of the property or the location of the property, that reserve account can go up. It can go from 15 to 20 to 25 to 30 to 35 to 40 to 50. I mean, it really can, based on how comfortable you want to be in holding back how much of the gross rents. So when we say it's a 15%, it's 15% times gross rents, which means that's how much each month we pull out of the rents and we put it in a savings account. And that's to cover any vacancies that come up. It's to cover any maintenance issues that come up. It's a reserve account so that we're not pulling out of our pockets. So many investors do this wrong. So many investors do this wrong. They go, oh, well, I'm getting $2,000 a month off that. No, you're not. Because what happens when you have a vacancy? Oh, I only got, $1,400 that month. No, see, that's my point. When you're stacking your reserve account, you're living truly off the cash flow that is real cash flow. Because the months that you have vacancies, you're able to pull out of the reserve account to pay you so that your monthly fee stays consistent all year long. So that you can start to have what's called a consistent cash flow instead of the roller coaster that most landlords go through, okay? So that's your three expenses. Now, to go back to the debt service fee, because we have to take that out if we want to know a true cash on cash. So to get to our true NOI, which is gross rents minus taxes, insurance, debt service payment, management fees, any other expenses, plus minus our reserve account, that gives us to a TNOI, true net operating income. We have to determine debt services, okay? So let's say you're going to pay, I don't know, $100,000 for this house. Well, the banks are going to require about a 20% down payment, right? So this also helps us understand our cash invested as a landlord. So if I have a $100,000 house and the bank's going to want 20% down, that's $20,000 right out the gate, right? It's a $20,000 I got to bring to the bank. That leaves me with an $80,000 loan, okay? Which means they're going to put a loan on that property for $80,000. Now, if you want to use a formula that's going to get you to the closest number possible to what your PI would be without using a mortgage calculator, you would take 80,000 in this example times 0.00 and whatever the interest rate you're expecting, 5 or 6%. So remember, it's 100. It's the loan amount in this example, 80,000 times 0.00, whatever the interest rate is. So that tells me my monthly PI payment is going to be somewhere around $480. Times that by 12 tells me my yearly is about $5,700. Now, when I add taxes and insurance into that, it obviously is going to be bigger, and that's what my PI-TI payment a year is going to come out to be. So that helps me get my debt service payment. So in this example, the debt service would be $5,700. Now, some people say, okay, great, so I'm $20,000 out of pocket to get the loan, so that's my cash invested. No, that's not true. Cash invested is down payment, closing fees, and any fix-up cost or wholesale fees, right? So I know the down payment, right? The down payment in this rental property is $20,000. Is there any fix-up cost that I have to think about? Well, in this case, you know, let's say I might have to have $3,000 just to get it cleaned up, right? And then my closing fees. So closing fees are typically about 1.5%. Depending on your county, I know if you live in Texas, it can be all over the board, but it's about 1.5% of the actual purchase price. So in this example, the purchase price was what? $100,000. So my purchase fees is $1,500, right? So now I've got my down payment, my fix-up costs, and my purchase fees, plus what's the number I have to think about? Did I find it on my own, or did a wholesaler bring it to me? Let's just say a wholesaler brought it to me, okay? And that wholesaler wanted a $5,000 fee. $5,000. So now I add all that up, okay? So now my total cash invested is $20,000 plus the 3, which was the fix-up, so I'm at 23, plus the $1,500 in closing fees, so now I'm at what? 24.5, plus the $5,000 to the wholesaler, so now I'm at 29.5. So really I'm 30,000 cash out of pocket into this deal. Now, to get cash on cash, I've got to take the TNOI divided by, let's see if I can write that out for you. I have to take the TNOI divided by cash invested. And that, my friends, equals cash on cash return. Can you see that? TNOI divided by cash invested equals cash on cash return, okay? So how did I get the TNOI? Gross rents minus all those expenses, okay? Gross rents minus all those expenses gives me my true net operating income. And the reason it's called a TNOI is because NOI does not include debt services, okay? So a true NOI is gross rents minus all those 3 tiers of expenses. You with me? Then I divide that number by cash invested, which, if we remember, there's 4 quadrants of cash invested: the down payment, the fix-up cost, the closing fees, and or if there's a wholesale fee included in that. That's total cash invested. That will give me my cash on cash return. So guys, like I said in the beginning of this, there's really only 2 ways you go when you evaluate a number. It's either fix and flip, or it's buy and hold. I don't care if you're a wholesaler. I don't care if you're a creative finance person. Those are the 2 angles you go, okay? Now, if that deal, let's go back to this deal. I used it as I ran the numbers down here at the bottom. I don't know if you can see that, but as 100,000 minus 20% gave me my loan amount. But now let's say that I had to pay cash for it. Well, my cash invested, the part that says down payment, the very first one, well, my down payment would be 100%, wouldn't it? So I'd have to come up with 100,000 plus the 3,000 in fix-up, plus the 1,500 in closing fees, plus the 5,000 in a wholesale fee. What that means now is that my return is going to be horrible. It'll be horrible because now I'm $109,000 into this deal, right? 110,000 out of pocket to take this deal down. The return will be horrible. So we have to look at it and say, well, look, if I buy it like this and my return is horrible, how quickly can I refinance this deal to get let's say I can only get 80% refi. Well, that means now instead of 110,000 into it, the property appraises at 100. I'm going to be able to get 80,000 of it back, which means now what? I'm 30,000 into the deal, which is right back to where we were earlier. I don't know if you can see that, but we were cash invested of 30,000 and the TNOI. So we're right back to that original number. It might just take us a little long. We might have to take the property and season it for 3 to 6 months before a bank will refinance it based on a new appraisal instead of an old purchase contract. So those are some things to consider, guys. I really hope you got something out of this today. I really do. It's extremely important that you know how to run your numbers. And remember, I mean, we spent 20 minutes just on how you find your ARV, because that's what's important too. So let's see here. What do we got coming in right now? Let's see. Debbie says, is there a max dollar amount for reserves? No, there's not. It's based on your comfort level. But here's what will happen. If you set your reserve so high, and then you run your numbers and your cash on cash is 4%, well, then obviously your reserve is too high, or what? Or it's just not a deal because you're not willing to move on your reserve account. So that's a good question, Debbie. AC says TNOI divided by cash invested equals cash on cash. That's right, AC. NOI does not include debt services. That's right, AC. Angel says a lot of other investors include debt service in the NOI. I wondered why they do that. It's not an NOI. NOI is gross rents minus expenses. That's what it is. It doesn't include debt services. You can Google what is NOI and what is cash on cash return, and you'll see it out there. So ROI, return on investment, starts to encompass all that stuff, and also depreciation and write-offs and all that other. But moving into the deal, if it's a rental property, when you move into the deal, you're always looking at cash on cash return. Now, listen to me when I tell you this. I'm going to give you another little gold nugget here before I have to go. When you go to buy the deal, you buy it based on cash return. Let's say your cash on cash return is 25%. That means over a 4-year period, you will have gotten what back? Your initial investment. This is where so many people make a mistake. They buy a property and they go, oh man, this thing's cash flowing. No, it's not. It's paying you back. You understand? When you buy a property that has a 25% rate of return, you're not cash flowing on that property until after 4 years. The first 4 years is what? You paying yourself back. So if you go 4 years on that property spending that money, then you just spend it. So your money's still in the deal. Do you understand? So you've absorbed the cash flow early and left your money in the deal. But if you use the property correctly and you let it pay you back like it's supposed to over the return, then that means at the end of 4 years, that property is now producing you cash flow because you've paid your investment back, okay? That's when that property moves from a cash on cash return to an ROE. Write that down. An ROE, return on equity, okay? Because why? If you did your investments right and you took your initial investment out, then you have no more cash left in that deal, which means there is no cash on cash return. The only thing left in the deal is equity. So now your return has to be based on equity. So it's return on equity. And how do we do that? The same exact way as we do cash on cash, but we're basing it off the equity. So let's say if the property has $50,000 of equity in it, now make sure, and that's a whole other class, how you run ROE, but in simple math, let's just say the equity after you sold it was $50,000, okay? That $50,000, you then take your TNOI and you divide it by the equity in the property, and that will tell you your return on equity, which will tell you if you need to sell the property or not. Because here's what happens when that property builds up a lot of equity. If you're in the growth mode of real estate and you're in the mode of building, then you're always looking at the rate of return in which you're getting on properties. So with that said, if I've now got all my money out of the deal and I've got $50,000 of equity in it and I'm making $5,000 a year on that property, my TNOI is $5,000, my equity is $50,000, that means I'm making 10% return on that equity. I would absolutely sell that property because here's why. Why would I keep $50,000 in that property at 10% when I could take that $50,000 and go invest it into a better asset and make 20, 25. I could double my rate in which my money will grow me. And so that's why ROE is so important too. And you just need to be thinking about not now, but future. Okay. Whew. Hope you guys enjoyed the class today. I was going, man. I was going on that today. Yes, Melody, that is right. ROE means return on equity. That's absolutely right. All right. Anything else from you guys today? You got anything from me? Your real estate investing talk show. I hope you got a lot of value out of today. We're on week 11. Next week, we move into week 12. Tomorrow, I will be coming to you from Orlando. Donald Kent says, what do you think about buying HUD homes to rent out? I think fine, as long as the numbers are there. I don't care if it's a HUD, a Section 8, or grandma's house, or my brother's house. What are the numbers, right? What are the numbers? Eric says, hey, Zach, moving forward in the next weeks, when are you going to discuss market segmentation in details? I think I will be covering some clustering and some market segmenting next week. But I'm not, I mean, look, it's a show that we talk for like 45 minutes or so. There's no way I could cover it in detail. But I will be covering it in Tampa in June. Tampa, let's see here. Where are we at? June 8th, 9th, and 10th in Tampa. I'll be covering it in detail there. So if you haven't booked your ticket to Tampa, you better do that, Eric. That's very, very important that you do that. You need to call the office immediately because we will sell out of these tickets for Tampa. We do every event we sell out. 707-249-4248. 707-249-4248. So if somebody can put that in the comment line, that'd be great. But that's the number you need to call. I teach segmentation at my events, and those events are live. You'll need to get to it, okay? Inez says, yes, I did enjoy liking the immersion. Good job, buddy. Melody says, so nice. Thank you, Zach. You're welcome. Angel says, great value. Thanks, Zach. You're welcome, my friend. Don, love it, man. Thank you. Michelle says, thank you very much. You're welcome, guys. You're welcome, you're welcome, you're welcome, you're welcome, you're welcome, you're welcome, Keisha, you're welcome, Keisha, you're welcome, everybody, you're welcome. I love you guys. Keep digging, keep looking. The choice is yours, whether you make this happen or not. Stay with us, stay tuned. We got lots more we're going to be unfolding. I hope to see all of you at one of my live events. I hope to see you all on my Dig Deeper shows, which are on Wednesdays at 1:30. And I'm excited about next Thursday, not this one. No, Dig Deepers are every Wednesday at 1:30. Every other Thursday is our In the Field with Zack episode. So we got not this Thursday, but next one we got one of those. So we got lots coming to you guys. I'm excited to be your coach. I'm Zack Childress. I am your real estate coach. And I'm going to say goodbye from my dark office. My very mellow office here with no lights. I'm sure my content creator's cringing right now. He's like, oh, no lights, no lights. So anyways, I'll see you guys. Be good. Keep moving forward. Bye now. If I can turn it off.